Greetings. We continue today in the third message on You Did Run Well, Who Did Hinder You? The third great obstacle is chastening. This is a severe trial or sorrow. Hebrews 12:5 admonishes us, "And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? For they verily or truly for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure. But he, that is God, chastens us for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised, which are disciplined thereby." God does chasten us when we're disobedient. But this passage teaches much more than that. God allows some trials to come our way in order simply to make us grow up. We must learn to solely and totally trust our Heavenly Father. Sometimes he has to put us into the position where we can do nothing else. We must be purged from the dross in our lives. The fiery trials which God allows to come in our lives are supposed to purge out some of this dross. Furthermore, this process is supposed to increase our faith. In essence, we're to learn to wait on God. That is, to have patience. As James said in chapter 1, verse 3, "The trying of your faith worketh patience." Chastening is a very real and common temptation. We must remember the truth of 1 Corinthians 10:13. "There hath no temptation, no trial, no testing taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer. He will not allow you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make." He'll provide the way to escape, that you may be able to bear it. Therefore, we must conclude that this temptation can and should be overcome. I want us to consider the example of John the Baptist. Remember how John was in prison and sent messengers to Jesus asking, Matthew 11:3 records, "Art thou he that should come, or do we look for another?" Jesus answered and said unto them, "Go and show John again those things which you do hear and see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have the gospel preached to them. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me." I think it's noteworthy that Jesus went on to say that of men born of women, there had not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Which leads me to conclude, if he could be tempted, how much more can we be tempted? But John overcame that temptation, and so can we. We'll conclude this point by going back to the book of Deuteronomy, the second giving of the law to that second generation. We'll read verses 1 through 5 of chapter 8, Deuteronomy 8, 1 through 5. And as we go, I want you to note the purposes expressed in these verses. He says, "All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that you may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember all the way that the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee, and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live. Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. Verse 5 concludes, thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so the Lord thy God chasteneth thee. Trials will come. We're instructed not to despise them, not to faint in them. We're admonished to endure chastening and do not be offended, for it is for our good and for God's glory.